Backlogs are by definition an accumulation of uncompleted work or matters needing to be dealt with, such as cleaning the house, washing the dishes, or even watching that TV show or movie a friend keeps recommending it for you to watch, just for the same few words leave your mouth every single time. I'll watch it later. Now imagine Little Timmy. Little Timmy got, as an example, Super Mario 64 as a birthday gift from his mother, and he can't wait to play it. He is super happy with this gift. But then, his grandma gives him a different game as a gift. She gives him Zelda Ocarina of Time. Little Timmy now has 2 new games to play with. However, he is struck with a puzzling question. Which one should I play first? And just like that, Little Timmy has created his own first gaming backlog. For those outside of the hobby, this title might be seen as alien looking. However, for a good amount of gamers, it's something they are well aware of. The idea of buying a game and then not playing it is something a lot of gamers are accustomed to. And I am no different. Nevertheless, I decided that 2025 would be different. I made up my mind. I was fed up with the amount of clutter I had accumulated, and I decided that from December of last year to this year's December, I would play as many games from my backlog as I could. I started by making a list and began categorizing it as my own backlog. I started writing down every game I owned and that I had a minimum interest in playing. When I was finally done and finally looked at the number of games I had, I realized that I was utterly and most definitely fucked. This video isn't a new idea. Just like my last video, I watched something that made me want to make a challenge just like what I had watched, but with my own spin on things. So a massive shout out goes to Daryl Talks Games for inspiring this video. Go check him out if you haven't already. Just before starting this journey, I have to share with you a few ground rules. A game counts as finished the moment I roll credits on it. I also decided that I didn't have to finish every game that I have played. However, unlike Daryl, I won't be removing any games from my backlog either. If I'm not feeling a game in the moment, I'll just put it back on the shelf and boot it up when I'm feeling like it. Understood? Okay, so grab some food, a drink, and a dog, and let me take you through this journey. I have to come forward with you on this one, because I told you a white lie. I actually started this project a month earlier in November, and I did this because I finished a game that was the fuel needed to finally start this challenge. Sonic Frontiers is not one of the best games of all time, but it has a special meaning for me, because, in my own eyes, this title itself represents my entire backlog. It marks the start of this adventure, pun intended, as Sonic is a series that is a quintessential part in my backlog, since some of my friends always recommend that I play, and, most importantly, was also a series that I, since a child, always wanted to play more of. With Sonic Frontiers finished, November also ends, but the challenge has just begun. December starts with an occurrence that will plague me till the end of this journey. One day, I decided to check my Steam wishlist and I found Rayman Legends at an all-time low of €3. And I bought it. Rayman Legends became the first game I played that wasn't on my original backlog. And that is something that, quite frankly, I didn't think much about at the time, but that will be more prominent as time went on. Apart from that, Rayman Legends was an incredible experience, and its incredibly smart platforming became easily one of my favorite games of all time. Throughout the month, I started a few shorter titles that I had in my backlog. Abzu is an incredibly beautiful and simple game. King of the Breach sees you playing a weird and distorted version of chess with a troll, and when he cheats by his own rules, you get a chance to cheat once. I finally beat Portal 2, a game I had yet to play since 2019. It's without a doubt one of the best games they ever made, and I believe that it is the closest one can get from a perfect game. I see Sonic Adventure DX on sale, I buy it and I finish it. There will be a lot of Sonic games in this video. Now, with the month coming to an end, I finished 2 games that I started back in May and only came around to finish them thanks to this project of mine, Hi-Fi Rush and Persona 5 Royal. I played the original Persona 5 before, so I already knew like 75% of the game, but the all new third semester caught me completely off guard. I won't be going into spoiler territory with any of the games shown in this video, but this one became quite easily my favorite game of all time. Every nitpick I had with the original Persona 5 is completely rejuvenated with this game. The music keeps being one of the best soundtracks to ever exist in gaming, the voice acting is stellar, and the gameplay is even better from the original, which I already thought was excellent. Hi-Fi Rush is incredibly witty, its humor is contagious, the characters are amazingly written, and the level designs are a joy to play through, with the ambience of the levels always bouncing to the beat of the music. Also one of the high points of this journey. And with that, December comes to a close. I played and finished a lot of titles. A new year begins and the backlog is getting thinner. However, it will take a while for me to repeat the success of this month. New year, new me, is what some people say during this time. However, for me it was more new year, new games to the back. Are you fucking serious? What do you mean you are adding more games to the backlog? What games are you even adding? Oh yeah, I forgot about this. So, while making the list I was only focusing on PC games and forgot to take into account the PS Plus games I already had. So yeah, add 23 more games to the backlog, I won't even bother to count them anymore. Okay, you get it as well. In January, I kept finishing games that I started way back when, with Hades. And what a game. The gameplay loop, the character design, the writing, the voice acting are all incredible. It's such a shame that I do not enjoy roguelikes unless gambling is involved. I also start noticing that a little pattern is beginning to take shape, and that pattern is the ever so present Sonic games, with this month counting with 2 different titles from the Blue Hedgehog. A friend of mine gifted me Sonic Adventure 2 and loaned me his account to play Sonic X Shattered Generations. While Sonic Adventure shows his age nowadays both graphically and in its level design, Sonic Adventure 2 is a remarkable step up and is, without a doubt, one of the best 3D platformers ever, and that last praise can also be made towards Sonic X Shattered Generations. If Sonic Frontiers was a step forward for 3D Sonic, then Sonic X Shattered Generations is a marathon of incredible enhancements from the disappointment that was Sonic Forces. Now let's go back to 2017. You've just opened YouTube and in the middle of a sea of fidget spinner videos there is a Markiplier video about a silly little visual novel with nothing suspicious at all, just a game about a literature club, which has absolutely nothing strange happening at all. I also started a lot of games which I would only finish later in the year, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Super Mario Odyssey, Undertale and Persona 4 Golden. I started this game all the way back in 2023 on the Switch, and it was on hold since then, and I couldn't be more happy to finally play such an amazing game. I got completely lost in the story. Yes, I played and finished Sonic Mania at the end of February. I also started Nier Automata, but Persona 4 Golden, what have you done to me? In March I also started and finished Pokémon Let's Go Eevee in the meantime, but Persona 4 Golden stands supreme above them all. It completely destroyed my idea of finishing as many games as possible and shapeshifted it into the idea of just enjoying the moment and taking time with this project of mine and with this library of games. Before the month ends, there is a new game that launches, and I want you to imagine this very oddly specific situation. Your favorite franchise. It has a legendary status in its field, it is regarded as one of the best ever and inspired future generations to come. However, it starts to dwell in popularity, it starts lacking new content and almost falls into complete oblivion. And, out of a sudden, it gets a new series, and with it a new mainline game which hadn't happened in over 10 years. With this said, you can imagine mine and many others' excitement and almost immediate disappointment when Bleach Rebirth of Souls launched. I won't go into too much detail right now, but let's just say if it wasn't Bandai doing this game it would have been so much better. April is right around the corner and I have no idea how this project will end. Although I started the month strongly by finishing both Super Mario Odyssey and Sonic Colors Ultimate, this month's hangover is completely taken over by Nier Automata. Yoko Taro's vision is absolutely delightful to explore. Seeing the contrasting evolution in 2B's character with 9 S's gives me goosebumps. The story is absolutely frenetic. Learning more about your heart makes me question everything this game presented to me, and showing a trailer for the ending C and D only segmented my idea that there was much more to tell. I won't get those endings this month, but endings A and B already showed me that this is an incredible world of which I desire to explore more. While recovering from the absurd hangover that Nier Automata hit me with, I was bored, sat down in a place with no backlog titles to tackle and nothing important to do. So I decided to download an emulator on my phone and start and complete both Sonic Advance and Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. And let me just tell you, playing these games on the phone is absolute and utter hell. Honestly, you have no precision whatsoever, which makes some stages and boss fights feel like I'm playing Elden Ring. Once more, I'm playing a lot of games which aren't on the backlog. However, I stopped seeing this as a negative and more as great experiences that were not planned from the start. May was a pretty active month, so let's get on with it quickly, shall we? This month starts with me finishing both endings C and D for Nier Automata. Pretty sure I cried while playing it. I boot up inside and finish it in one sitting. I'm pretty sure there is a strong metaphor in this game, however I just didn't get it. I started Pokémon Emerald on an emulator, and spoiler, I didn't finish it this year, which is both the first and last game that I started this year and didn't finish. Metal Gear Solid has no business being this cool and this silly. Like, honestly, the moment you go into a cutscene, it seems you are watching both a comedy show and the most serious shit of all time. There is a fan remaster for Sonic Unleashed, titled Sonic Unleashed Recompiled. I always owned the original on the PS2, which I never finished. I'll just boot up the game and watch with awe that opening cutscene. Serious conversation right now, can we just agree that this cutscene is one of the best opening scenes in video game history? I mean, just look at this. Okay, let's get back on track. This remaster made me and many other people realize that this is undoubtedly one of the best 3D Sonic games, especially the day stages. Those are some of the best stages of any Sonic game. The negative part of this game is the night stages. They are just too long and slow to my liking. Although I spent quite a bit of time glazing Sonic Unleashed, the reality is that this month's protagonist is a much different game. Oh my god, Undertale is so fucking cool. Toby Fox created one of the greatest wonders in video game history. This right here is a masterclass of game design and history told in the most simplistic and fantastic way possible. The fact that you can go the entire game without hurting a single creature is absurdly satisfying, as I didn't want to hurt any of these adorable little creatures. The music is actual crack to the ears. This is undoubtedly one of the highlights of the year for me and one of my favorite games of the year. This month was pretty stacked. However, yeah, I almost didn't play for 2 months. Real life began to creep in around this time with school and other activities, filling my schedule in ways that I didn't know were capable of being filled. June was a complete wreck. I started Slay the Spire and played a bit of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but nothing to write home about. Now, July was a bit more positive though. I finished Slay the Spire, and I started OneShot and Fire Emblem Three Houses. However, I ended up doing something that, at the start of this journey, I thought I wouldn't be capable of doing. I abandoned a game. I started Dredge this month, played for 2 hours, and realized that I wasn't feeling it in the moment. It's not a goodbye, it will go back on the shelf with the others, but it marked a turning point on my backlog journey. After 2 months of only beating a total of 1 game, I decided to start the month by adding more games to the backlog. Let me explain. This project has the objective of me playing and experiencing the most amount of titles possible, so it's only natural for me to keep adding a myriad of games to the list. In the first week of the month, I finished OneShot. This game is so simple, but at the same time so vast. Without a doubt, one of the best experiences of the year. I started Black Mesa and kept chipping away at Fire Emblem Three Houses, but the focus was on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I decided that taking my time with this game would be the best way to experience its world, and it absolutely was. This game is amazing. The world is so interesting, the graphics are majestic, and the characters are incredibly well written. Seeing Cloud being so stoic at the start, and him slowly changing thanks to his new bonds with the likes of Aerith and the Goat Barret, or with the already established ones with Tifa for example, was pretty heartwarming. I'm kinda sad that this game isn't a full remake of the original, but it's such a good game that you can almost forget that fact. I can't wait to play the next two remakes. Okay, how the fuck am I supposed to transition from Final Fantasy VII Remake to... Fucking nailed it. This is probably the game that I was least expecting to play this year. However, playing and enjoying such an old classic made me want to play more older titles. Sadly, that feeling would only come back later down the year. September was practically all about Fire Emblem Three Houses. I knew nothing about this game apart from the fact that it's apparently Fire Emblem meets Persona, and I was not disappointed. This game is huge, even in the JRPG genre. You have a total of 4 different paths to take. You can choose to teach one of the 3 houses that the game presents to you. The cast is incredibly large and all of them have their own unique personalities. One of the things I loved about this game was the fact that your students actually talk and befriend each other. The combat is excellent and thrilling if you play it on classic mode. The story is a bit weird at times, but was overall pretty solid. The voice acting and the soundtrack are amazing though. This is just a really good game. I also played Helltaker at the end of the month, but the focus was really on Fire Emblem. Such a great game. You know what else is a great game? Oh my god, Bomb Rush Cyberfuck is so fucking big! Everything about this just blows me away. The visuals are so good and unique, the soundtrack is literally cocaine in your ears. Team Reptile absolutely nailed the fun aspect of the game. I like this game so much that it actually started a little trophy hunter phase with me, starting, finishing and getting the platinum for Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, Viewfinder and Astro's Playroom, all in this month. If you haven't played it yet, I urge you to give it a shot. October was a huge month for this video. I finished every game I played this month, and there were a lot of them, including what was my first ever Souls-like game. Sort of. Another one was Crazy Taxi, which is honestly just simple fun. October also marks the completion of Bleach Rebirth of Souls, which, let me just be honest, this game was a disappointment. Not that the game is bad, far from it. It's just that by playing it, you can't feel like this game wasn't meant to be way better. This game is absolutely amazing in its combat mechanics. It incorporated Bleach's fights incredibly well, the music is astonishing, the gameplay is smooth and fun, but Bandai just had to shit the bed. This game was unplayable at launch on PC. The only way to play it on launch day was if you had your computer language set on Japanese. This is so ridiculous that it sounds like a The Onion article. And that's not all. The online was dead after like 4 weeks, and honestly there isn't a lot of replay value. Telling the story of the manga through cutscenes is a cool idea in concept, but in practice is terrible. To complete a single story level without skipping anything, you are looking at around 30 minutes worth of cutscenes. That's absurd. Either way, I played it for 40 hours and had fun during all of them. I even got all achievements. Now, at the end of the month, I was feeling the Halloween season, so I decided to play 2 somewhat horror games, the first of which was Alan Wake. And let me just tell you, this game is perfect in length. It is incredibly well written and the story is surprisingly engaging. It shows its age in some aspects, especially with the voice acting in some stages. It also has a lot of cool ideas, but sometimes it misses in the execution of those ideas. But one thing is certain, those taken made me jump more times than I would like to admit. For the second spooky game, I decided to start Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion was the designated launch title for the Nintendo GameCube and was, and still is, an amazing experience. Its design is incredibly simple. You see a ghost, you flash ghost, you suck ghost, and you keep repeating that for around 6 hours. It sounds boring at first, but I was surprised how hooked it made me. I was having so much fun, I finished the game in a single sitting. Highly recommended. November is right around the corner, and with this video yet to be made, it might be the last month for the backlog. Throughout this year, I have played a ton of different games and genres. I played action games, puzzle games, strategy games, JRPGs, RPGs, FPS, visual novels, horror games, roguelikes, 2D platformers, 3D platformers, a lot of them actually, and even a Souls game, somewhat. However, there is a big genre of games that I haven't played this year, and with the possibility of this being the last month for this project, I decided to boot up a game I hope is worthy of closing out the year and this challenge. As I'm writing this segment of the video, I have yet to get the true ending of this masterpiece of a game. Hollow Knight is a game that I played a few years ago for around an hour or so, and I didn't get it at the time. And with the Backlog project, I finally decided to give it a proper go. Hollow Knight is an absolute masterclass in game design. The world is absolutely beautiful, there is so much lore that you need to watch an hour-long video to take it all in. The music, the combat, the exploration, the map designs, the power-ups, everything about this game is great. It's challenging at times, sometimes even borderline unfair, but never became so difficult that it became unfun. You can't beat the boss? Come back the next day and you will pass it in 3 attempts. Unless you are trying to beat Lost Skin, that fucker can rot in hell. Hollow Knight is one of the best games I have ever played, there is no doubt about that. Although not one of my outright favorites, it stands surprisingly close to the top. This was without a doubt the best game I could have ended this project with, and I'm so happy to have finally given it a fair shot to impress me. And impressed I was. What a year, huh? I've played over 40 games this year alone, which is completely crazy. I thought that 20 games would be a good number of titles tackled for the year. With that crazy amount of titles completed, the backlog must have thinned out quite significantly. I somehow finished the year with 40 games done, but with 14 more games in the backlog. Let me explain. I failed to account 3 very important things. The first one was Epic's free games. I not only didn't register the games I already had onto the original list, but I also failed to predict the possibility of them giving away a game that I would want to play. Secondly, I also failed to, just like Epic's, predict the amount of great games that PS Plus would give away. Last but not least, I didn't consider my inability to resist a 90% discount on a Steam major sale. Out of all these factors, the one that was the most crucial to this jump in numbers was the fourth option. Gotcha. That being the fact that more than half of the games I played this year weren't on the original backlog. This discovery and taking the entire year into perspective made me realize one very important thing, that I was enjoying every last second of this challenge. I was having so much fun playing this amalgamation of games, something I hadn't really felt for quite some time if I'm honest. I was playing so many different games, some of them from genres I have never even played before, and although the end result was not the expected, I can shake the feeling that this was a successful attempt to clear out my backlog. That being said, when I understood that, and when I understood that most of the games I played weren't on the backlog, I decided to change some things by creating a new backlog. This new backlog is a definite list of games I own and I want to play. Even though it is excruciatingly massive in comparison to the first one, which was already quite big, this one is way more open to change, since this one isn't accounting for every game that I do not own but want to play. And because I created this new and bigger backlog, I will do this challenge again in 2026. From this December to the next, I will try to complete more than the 40 games I beat this year, and this time, hopefully, all coming from that backlog. If you watched everything until now, I hope you had fun taking part of this journey with me. If you are curious, these are the final stats from this adventure. If you watched this till now and haven't liked the video yet, please consider doing so, and I'll see you in the next video. Maybe.